Okay. Something I thought I might talk about a little bit, because I've seen it mentioned here and there, is alcohol and drinking. One thing I will always advise, kind of coming from the Havamal, is basically drink in moderation. Just be careful as to how much you drink. Try to keep in mind the type of alcohol you're drinking and what kind of an effect it can have. Also keep in mind, where are you at while you're drinking? Are you going to need to drive yourself home? Things like that. All good things to keep in mind. But something I wanted to talk about a little bit more in depth, if you will, is the effects of alcohol, the effects of different types of alcohol, things like that. Apparently it has been shown that alcohol, especially when it comes to things like beers and wines, can have an adverse effect on testosterone production, which for males isn't a good thing. For females, it's not as big of a deal. But that being said, you can still drink things like beer and wine, but again, drink in moderation. Don't drink all the time, don't drink vast amounts, and try to drink things that have less of an adverse effect. A beer, I say beer, it's more of a ale, like a stout ale, than it is a beer. That I would recommend, if you do want to drink beer, would be Samuel Smith's Organic Beer. It is a USDA certified organic beer. So it's far and away healthier. It doesn't have a bunch of GMO chemical enhancement crap in it because of it being an organic beer. It's a darker stout beer, so they don't have to do all these artificial sweeteners and things in it to make it a light beer that's low calories and carbs and all that crap. So it's much more natural and organic. So it's far and away healthier than a lot of your other beers. So that is a brand I would recommend. And they make some that are flavored, like they have a chocolate flavoring to them, and they're very, very good as far as beers go. So that's something that I could recommend as far as beers. When it comes to wine, I would suggest trying to find something that's a more local brand, whatever state you're in, to where it's made with locally grown fruits. It doesn't have to necessarily be just a traditional grape wine. It could be, say, a blackberry or blueberry wine. But if you can find it that's grown more locally, that's always good. And if they use things like honey for their sweetener rather than just plain Jane sugar, or if they do use sugar, what kind do they use? Try to research it a little bit and keep it as all natural and organic as possible. I would also recommend just sticking to red wine of some sort, whether it be red grape wine, blackberry wine, a red wine. Because for one, it has been shown that these have less of an adverse effect on you than a white wine would. Also, they are better for the blood and the heart. A glass or two of red wine a day has actually been shown to be healthy and good for the heart. So that's something to keep in mind and think about. Liquor, harder liquors have less of an effect on a male's testosterone production. However, they can have a harsher effect on liver and kidneys. So definitely drink in moderation. Look at how big of a person you are. How much do you weigh? Is that going to affect your level of drunkenness potentially? If you drink, a bottle of whiskey at 300 pounds versus someone who weighs 150 pounds drinking a bottle of whiskey, it's going to affect you way differently. But again, I wouldn't recommend that necessarily in general. Just drink in moderation. And remember that it can negatively affect your internal organs, even if it's not negatively affecting your testosterone production nearly as much. But anyway, that was just a few things I thought I'd mention and bring up and talk about a little bit, just to broach that subject. So Anybody else, if you have any other advice or maybe some medical files, things like that, that you know of, hey, feel free to bring those up, make a video about it, put it in the comments below, whatever. Thanks for listening.